Hello, everyone, and welcome. You guys are in for a treat today because not every day do we get 4 fabulous alumni to come back to GGU to talk about their experiences with finding and internships. And they're all going to introduce themselves shortly, so I'll leave that to them, and they're also on the program as well. But I wanted to give a huge thank you for all of them for volunteering their time to come after work to be on this panel and talk to all of you about their experiences. And today we're going to have Ann Hirschberg moderating the panel. Many of you have probably had classes with Ann. I was joking with her earlier that she teaches every class on campus. But in addition to that, she's also a program manager for the Gino School of Business. And she has over 20 years of marketing experience developing interactive television and marketing strategies for Fortune 500 companies and startups. Once we're done with the panel, you will have an opportunity to network with each other or continue networking. You guys are doing great. Continue networking with the panelists, each other, and Ann, which I encourage you to do. And there's still going to be food at the end as well. So with that, I would like to introduce, totally forgot. My name is Nipa. I always forget to introduce myself. My name is Nipa Parikh, and I'm the director of the Office of Career Planning here at Golden Gate University. I also want to add that I've had 3 internships in my lifetime. My first internship was at a private investigator firm where I thought I wanted to be a private investigator, so let me try this out. And then I did it and realized it was the most incredibly boring job. It doesn't look like TV at all. So one benefit of getting an internship is finding out what you don't like as well. So with that, I am going to hand it off to Ann.
Thank you, Nipa. So I am Ann Hirschberg, not Nipa. And I too had an internship at my last year of college as undergraduate at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., to which I absolutely had the most fabulous time and went on to work with them for a while afterwards. So unlike Nipa's experience, mine was, 10 plus. It was a wonderful experience. So I wanted to welcome you all here tonight. We're going to have a nice informal, we're a small group, so we can have a nice informal conversation. And the first things I'd like to do is to introduce our panelists and let them tell you a little bit about themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so my name is Brittany Bento-Tibbs, and I'm a recent graduate from the MST program, so the Masters of Taxation. And I was one of the few students that was part of the cohort program, so it was definitely a different situation than probably most of you would be going into. It's basically an accelerated version of the master's program, and you get it done in 9 months. And at the end of that, I got an internship at KPMG. That's kind of why I'm here. And I can tell you about the taxation and accounting industries for the most part, and just some other general internship, maybe pointers that you might be curious about.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Pallavi Setu. I've done my master's in human resources. I graduated last year in August. I did my internship with Infotech Sourcing, and then I was hired full-time there as a recruiter. And I'm here today to help you guys out with your job search as well as your internship. You can ask me any questions, anything that's to do with in networking, especially. And I know it's hard to find a job in the Bay Area. It can be tricky. I hope I'll be able to share some insightful information to you guys.
And hi everyone, I'm Xiao Hu. I graduated this May from IMC program, Golden Gate University, and I worked as an internship at Skylink TV, TV station at Bay Area, and I got my full-time job over there, and recently I quit my job there and start to look for a more challenging job and start to jump out of my comfort zone. So I hope that the experience that I got about seeking for internship, seeking for OPT jobs would be valuable for you guys. What I want to say over here is today we sit over here does not mean that we're more successful than you guys. I know that many of you guys even have more experience than us, but it's a very good opportunity for us to exchange our opinions and to share more information over here about seeking for jobs and internships.
Hello everyone, my name is Ariba Hassan and I studied IT management in GGU. I graduated last year in December and I was also like a fresh graduate but recently got a job like a month back working as a senior research analyst for a company called Greenberg. It's a strategy and an analytical company, market research. And I got an internship through a friend's referral. So I'm like very thankful to him. And then it really happens. Like you sometimes get jobs or internships due to networking. And it was a remote internship opportunity, but I took it anyway. And I feel good about like the decision that I made. I was working with a startup in the Bay Area called Toothcare, and I worked as a data analyst and data analyst and a machine learning intern. So I got great opportunity to work on skills like Python and Tableau and stuff like that, which really helped me getting a full-time opportunity. So would like to share my experience with you tonight. Yeah, thank you.
So that's nice. We have a nice variety of different kind of organizations that you got your internships in. Can you talk a little bit about, describe KPMG and the companies that you work in? Some of you described it a little bit more, but perhaps they don't know what kind of companies these are. And they're so different. All four of your companies are so different.
Sure. So KPMG is one of the big four accounting firms, and I worked in the taxation department. So there's generally audit, taxation, and advisory departments within the company.
Got it.
And I guess that's the gist of it. It's one of the big four accounting firms. It's competitive, but once you get your foot in the door, it's a really great place to start your career because you're going to have a lot of opportunities.
Infotech Sourcing is a staffing firm in San Francisco. We specialize in hiring full-time as well as contract employees for various companies in the Bay Area. We also recruit for companies in the East Coast. And the industries that we focus are mainly IT and retail. We also have accounting and pharmaceuticals. So we have a lot of clients here in the Bay Area that we help recruit.
So Skyline TV is one of the biggest Chinese TV station in the U.S. and it is the biggest one in California. It offers entertainment, TV content, and news for especially for Chinese audiences. So what I did over there, I volunteered as a journalist over there for a time, and then I switched my position to marketing assistant over there, and yeah.
So I'll first talk about Toothcare, for which I was interning. So Toothcare is a startup in the Bay Area. Basically, they have more interns working for them. They are trying to build a market platform for all the people who search for look for resources to market for. So it's a platform that they are building right now. It's in beta version, and mostly people are working from India. It's been outsourced. But it was a great opportunity for me to work for a startup. Like sometimes people think that working for startups is not a good opportunity, but it really is, because you get to do a lot and your work is appreciated and it's implemented. So that was a great opportunity for me. And then currently I'm with Greenberg, and it is a market research and a strategic company. It's been in the Bay Area for over 20 years now. And what we really do is we have clients like Google, Facebook, and Twitter, Dell, Sony, Chipotle, Cheesecake Factory. It varies. And then we are researching how they should be marketing, what segments they should be targeting in the industry. And what are the age groups that they should target for a specific product, say, which is coming up in the next few years, stuff like that. So basically, a lot of research work happening around the field of marketing. So yeah.
So it's nice we've got a broad look at different kinds of businesses, and you all sound very enthusiastic about the companies that you work for, which says something about the internship process, that you can go into a company and then find that it's the right place for you or something that you really like about it. So let's talk a little bit about internships themselves. What did you do in your internship? What were your main tasks and responsibilities? And why don't we start with Xiao and go around that way so we don't always go up and down the line.
Okay. So, like I mentioned before, I volunteered as a journalist over there because I graduated as a journalism student in Hong Kong, and I worked as a journalist in China for 2 years. So when I first came here, I think about looking for internship very early, and I will talk more about how I reached out to Skylink TV later. But after I being volunteered for them for almost half of the year, and I told them I want to do internship over there. So I switched to my marketing position. And what I did over there is, at first, I was in charge of the social media marketing program. So I kind of managed their YouTube, their Facebook, and their WeChat like every day. And I worked like that for a while, and there happened to be a very big project at the company. It's not only about marketing, it's more about project management. And I luckily was assigned that big project. I got that opportunity is because when we when the whole company have a meeting together at the table and they're talking about the project, and I contribute a lot of the interesting ideas about that project. And my boss was like, okay, since you have a lot of ideas and it seems that you're eager to to do this project, then you go ahead and take the charge of it. So I kind of I'm doing my marketing job and this project management job at the same time. So yeah, I would say that while you are doing your internship at the company, there are many opportunities inside the company. Even though at first you are not doing the thing that you really like, there are opportunities for you to switch to what you like, as long as you speak up and as long as you want to contribute to the company, want to contribute to the tasks over there.
Ariba.
Yeah. So I was working as a data analyst and a machine learning intern. I applied just for a data analyst role, but I was interested in learning Python because it was a new skill for me, and I really wanted that skill set to be with me when I go and look forward for a full-time opportunity. So when you're working with a startup, you really get to talk to the people there in the top level. So I was talking to the CEO of the company, which was really helpful for me. I got to know a lot about the company, how that startup came into being, how they are trying to make their own place in right now in the market. So they were in the beta version, and they were building sales dashboards for all their sales leads to connect and have that kind of communications and sales over there. So I worked a lot on how they can visualize all the stuff, how they can capture all the data that they need. And then since I wanted to learn Python, I worked on some machine learning stuff, like how can they implement voice, user voice within their platform. How can they ask users to navigate throughout the dashboard using the voice command. So yeah, it was really interesting.
Brittany?
Sure. So being in public accounting firm, you're working in providing the clients with services. So what we do is we work with the tax laws, the codes, to help the clients basically limit their tax liability. And in the internship, I was able to work on a variety of industries. And this doesn't always happen, but I think I was in a unique situation where I didn't have any very large clients, which in public accounting, I did work with people who had very large clients and they consumed their entire time at the internship. But I was lucky enough to work on 4 different industries or type of clients. And I think if you speak up, and I did in the interview process, about your desires, then that's really important when they place you in your role in the internship. And in order to get all these tasks done in my department, we also had to use a lot of different software programs, some just Microsoft Excel, but some that are also proprietary, and the firm works on that and develops that. And another thing we did a lot in the internship was team meetings. So because I was on so many different clients, there were a lot of different meetings. I swear I had a meeting every day, if not like 3 or 4 meetings every day. But I really liked that because then I got to talk to people. And me, I don't like sitting at the computer all day, which can happen some days. But if you're lucky enough to work with seniors and managers, or eventually be that senior manager that likes to have communication be a big part of their job, I found that I really enjoyed that. So team meetings were a big part of my experience.
For me, I came from a recruitment background from India. So I had about 2.5 years of experience with Randstad. So when I went in for an internship, I had my priorities or tasks and responsibilities already set for me because I had experience. So I wasn't trained from scratch. I was just told what to do. So basically what we do is we have a lot of clients in the Bay Area. Like I said, we have clients like Facebook, Salesforce that we work for. They share their job requirements with us, and we go ahead and source for them. So they give us requirements, say 15 to 20 a week, that we look to close within 2 weeks a span of time. So we actively source and hunt for people almost every day, 8 hours of our day. And we go through a lot of resumes. We see how you would be a good fit. We have initial phone interviews with you guys, and then we submit that profile with the client. So that's what we usually do. Apart from that, we also interact with clients, do client management, relationship building, pitching for new accounts, looking at ways of building our business as such. So that was what my internship was all about. And then I really liked my job, so I got converted to full-time.
So let's talk a little bit about finding an internship. What do you think it takes to get an internship? What steps did you take? Let's start with Brittany.
Okay. I would say it takes a lot of time. You have to be really resourceful, and I think networking is like the key. For me, everything's about networking. Just talk to people who know people, talk to people you don't know. You never know who's willing to help you, or who has like good advice or a good tip, or just a good suggestion. You never know who's looking. Networking is so huge. Also, just being resourceful. You're at a really good institution, or I believe so, if you're a student here. And for the accounting and tax schools, we had really supportive instructors, so those are great resources. And the Office of Career Planning, there's GGU career websites. I would use all the resources you can. LinkedIn, those are great resources. Just keep looking.
So we'll jump to Ariba.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of time to land an internship or a job here in the Bay Area. But you should first of all know what is that you're looking for. What kind of roles do you want to work as an intern and then do a full-time job, and then you should be connecting with people on LinkedIn or going to events and stuff like that, just to connect with people randomly and talk about what they do, how they do. You should be getting a lot of experience, a lot of exposure, just in terms of talking with them, and then try to be unique. Have a unique skill set in the market, because if recruiters go out and find for you, there are a lot of students who are looking for internships right now or jobs. So you should be unique in like some terms, whether it be kind of skill set that you have, or like what can you provide that company. Although if you will be working as an intern, like what extra skills do you have? How can you be of value for that company? So yeah, just show that.
Shall.
Okay, so I will start with resume and CV. As we know, we need to prepare resume, CV, resume and cover letter, of course, for looking for a job. But my takeaway over here, because we kind of had a little talk over there. So what I learned from her is that we need to put some important keywords in our resume, because right now big companies, when they look at our resumes, they don't really look the whole page of it, the whole sentences of your resume. They will look up the keywords on your resume. So I think that's a very significant takeaway. If you want to get a specific job, you need to look at their job description and find out the keywords or the skills that they required and put them in your resume. That will be easier for the company to find you. In regarding to networking, I went to some networking events, some job events, but turns out the efficiency is not as good as I expected. So right now I'm trying another method, which is inviting the people that working at the company that I want to work for, and invite them out and talk with them, ask them the information about working at that company, the position requirement at that company, and how if it's possible, try to find out how the recruitment process the company has. And also, speaking of how to invite those people out, I have a very tricky method which I learned from my sales management class in marketing program. I will tell them that I'm a blogger, and right now I'm really a blogger, writing articles about doing business in the USA and marketing. So I will try to reach out to people who are doing great job in marketing field and asking them out, and to because my article is about their experience, so I need to interview them, and that's a good opportunity for me to reach out to them and to start to build up my networks with them. So that's my tricky method. You can come up with many creative methods too. Just be brave to try out. Don't be afraid. And another good resource that we have is GGU. Talk to your professor. Don't be afraid to ask them whether they have the opportunities in their hands, and talk to your dean. Actually, while I'm looking for my internship, because since I volunteered at Skylink TV for half of a year, I kind of learned about. Even though I didn't really practice, but I learned about their marketing process. So I really want to do my CVT at some other company. And I went to my dean, Blauwen, and she did give me some suggestions and advices. I applied for a couple of companies. Although those companies were not really looking for internships at that time, I failed. But that also means that if you go to your dean, go to a professor, you can highly likely get some opportunities too. So don't be afraid to ask them for help.
Yeah, I would suggest networking. For me, how I landed my internship was I reached out to the CEO of the company, asking him for a job. So I used LinkedIn. I saw he was an alumni from GGU. I picked up a conversation to start off, and he was very kind to respond back. I told him what I was looking for, and then he called me for an interview. So it worked for me differently. I'm sure it won't work the same way for you guys, but I would suggest network, research a lot about where you want to land a job, what kind of role you want, be very specific, and then start, going towards your goal. And resources with GGU are great. The career planning office is amazing. You should go there as much as you can to work on your resume. We were having a discussion, like she said, what we look for in a resume is like the skill set if you have, as per the job description. So don't stick on to like a one-page resume when you're hunting for a job. It's not mandatory to have just one-page resume. It's okay to have more than one page. Just make sure you don't just write whatever you want. Just be specific to the job description and make sure you have the experience cited properly. So based on that, I'm sure you guys will land a good job.
So what challenges did you face when you were searching for an internship?
A lot of people didn't respond. I would have applied. Even today when I applied to all the jobs through LinkedIn. So you have this icon on LinkedIn Jobs to see how many jobs you've applied for. Honestly, I've applied around 300 jobs that I've not got response for. Some of them have given me rejection emails. Some of them have just said, I've interviewed and not gone too far. But looking at all of that, being proactive and being positive is the key to land the right job. And that was my biggest challenge, because when I didn't get a response, I would be like, what am I doing wrong? Honestly, being a recruiter, I know that we go through thousands of resumes each day, and we spend only about 2 to 3 minutes on a resume. So you can imagine how many resumes we're looking at in a day. And we are only going to match your profile with the job description we have, the kind of role we're hiring for. So if you don't find the 3 or 4 skills that we need, we're going to pass over your resume. And we're not even going to reject you. I mean, we're not going to formally send you an email saying that we've rejected you for so-and-so grounds. It's just that we pass you and we don't have time to go back to you. So you also have to understand that when you apply, take a little amount of time to research the job description, work on your resume. Don't apply with just one resume for like 100 jobs. You're not going to win anything. So you make sure you research the role, work on your resume, and then apply, and then you would have better success.
So would you say you should use similar words to what the job description is within your resume?
Yeah, like skills, like specific skills. Like for a designer, we would look for skills like Adobe, Photoshop. Those need to be highlighted. But don't just copy everything from the job description. That's plagiarism. So we would reject you right there. So just be creative and work your resume.
Based on that, may I have a question about that? Yeah, because I'm wondering, when you use that tool to look for candidates, to look for the keywords, will you look at the specific keywords from the job description, or you will also look some similar keywords?
We would look for similar skills, but like tools that you have to be aware of, those should be there on your resume.
Okay, thanks.
Brittany.
I would say I would have to agree that rejection is probably, or the no answer is probably like the biggest obstacle, because it might make you feel like giving up, but you have to keep going. Yeah. That's really, I would say the same thing. Not too much to add.
One different challenge that I faced at that time is I went to one of the interviews that I went to went very well, and I kind of feel like that. Wow, this is the company that I really want to work for. The company called themselves marketing agency, But when I look at their website, try to find out what kind of marketing they're really working at, I found that there is no such description. And I was like, wait a minute, are they really marketing agency? So I told the people who interviewed me, the CEO, that I want to try work for them for one day to see if I fit their company or not. And on that day, they when I went to there, they brought me a contract for Xfinity. It's not their company's contract; it's Xfinity. So I was wondering why it's Xfinity, it's not Blue Lotus. And he told me that, well, today you work for Xfinity, and tomorrow you work for other company for a while, but you belongs to us. You are our employee. And I finally find out that they are not really the marketing agency. They are an outsourcing company. So it doesn't mean that they are a bad company. Working over there can be helpful for us too, but it's not the company that I'm looking at, and they should not call themselves marketing agency. So, while you are looking for a job, you need to pay attention to this kind of company and look at their website carefully about the description of the job, description of what they're really doing. So, yeah.
So that could apply particularly to remote jobs when there's not a physical plant. So if it's just an online situation, you need to be quite careful with that when you're researching that. Yes. So that's a really good point from both of you. So let's talk about the job itself, the internship itself. What did you establish? How did you establish your responsibilities? Like, what was your first day, and then how did it go from there in terms of establishing responsibilities for your job? And how did it change? Who wants to go first? Ariba, how about you?
Yeah. So I was working as an intern, but it was a remote internship because I was working on campus part-time at that time, and my internship wasn't paid. So I requested if I can work remotely, and I got that opportunity. So working remotely is a really different experience that I got. So the first day was just to hear from the CEO what the company does, look at their dashboards, have like a session with him where he like walked me over through each and every area that they're working on and things they want to implement, how they want to like move forward in the market, things that he wanted me to do. He assigned me some roles and responsibilities. And then I also expressed him that I wanted to work on some particular skill set, like some particular languages. So over time, things changed. When I was showing more interest in a particular language or skill set, he was giving me more work related to that thing. So I think it really depends of how you establish a relationship with the management, and you can really ask for the work that you want to do, or the work that would really help you landing a real job later on. So yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so my situation is a little bit special because I told you that I volunteered as a journalist over there. So when I start to do my CPT over there, they kind of still, the journalism team still want me to stay there because they lack of people. So at the very beginning, I kind of doing both journalist part and marketing part, but I feel very stressful. And I don't know how to. I had a supervisor over there, marketing supervisor, but she's not really supervised my internship. So that's a bad situation. If you go to a company doing internship and they don't really have a supervisor for you, that could be very difficult because you don't know who you need to talk with, and when you meet any problem, you don't know who to talk with. So I went to my Dean Blauwen for help, and she said I can just go ahead to talk with my boss and to express what I think about my position, to tell him what I want exactly. So I went to my boss and tell him that I only, right now I'm doing my marketing internship. I will just focus on marketing. In terms of journalism part, I really want to help them, but I still need to focus on my career. So yeah, if when I finish my job with marketing, I will try my best to help them, but otherwise I cannot do anything. So I would say that while you are doing internship, there are many different things could happen. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to express what you want, and don't because I know that many people want to be very nice to everyone at the company, but sometimes you need to have a bottom line over there. You need to know that your career is super important for you. You need to put it as the priority. Yeah.
Brittany, how about you?
So being at a really large company like KPMG, the responsibilities are really clear and really defined, kind of for the whole internship class that's coming in. So mine didn't change, but what did change for me were just the general terms of my internship. In order to get full credit from GGU, I had to request an extension, and they granted me the extension. So the extra time I spent there, they listened to like my interests throughout the internship that had been there up to that date, and they allowed me to spend that extra time on the type of client work that I was really interested in. So I would say that if you speak up about your interests, they'll listen to you, but you also should be flexible about their demands and their needs, because had they not had that need for me to be on that client, maybe I would have had to be placed on another client that maybe was in a different industry just to get the extension.
So there was more than one intern that came in at the same time that you did?
Yeah, I guess I should be clear about that. So what happens is that because there are really clear busy seasons in accounting and tax, there was about 50 of us total for all of the Bay Area, including Silicon Valley and Walnut Creek and San Francisco office, that came in on the first day. And we did like an orientation week. So they like clearly tell you what's expected of you and what you need to do throughout your internship, because you don't only have like the client work to do, you have trainings and certain firm requirements that have to be met throughout the internship. So they lay everything out.
For me, it was very specific, but my company was structured in a way that's very flexible. So I got the privilege of choosing which industries I would want to work for, and what kind of specifically IT or non-IT roles I would be interested to work for. So in that case, I got that flexibility, but that said, if you're working for a larger organization, you would have specific daily tasks to do. I would suggest stick with it. But then as you grow within the internship period of time, work your way through of understanding different departments and various aspects of their business. In that way, you learn not just your work, but how the company functions as such. That will help you in the longer run.
So I want to open up a couple little questions that any of you can answer. So what did you do to stand out in your internship, to make yourself known?
I could answer.
I would say, like all of us mentioned about, we need to speak up. And one most important thing is that know the goal is to contribute yourself to the company, to show the company that you are valuable to them. So, like I said, there are many students when they first went to the companies, they want to show that they are very nice to everyone. They want to try their best to help everyone. But the priority thing is to finish your task best. Try to finish your task well, and then help others. So so I mean, in the company, you want to be stand out. You want to be stand up. Helping others is very important, but at the same time, doing your job well is also very significant for you.
Brittany? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I agree. You have to stand out. You have to let people know you exist. It should not be like you walk into the office, do your 8 hours of work, and leave. You need to make your presence felt in the company, not just for internship. Even if you're volunteering anywhere, make yourself, make your presence felt. That's really important. For me, I was able to communicate very clearly within teams as well as with my CEO. He was really kind enough to accept suggestions. Also, I was very open to criticism. You guys have to be very open to criticisms. That's going to not only mold you as a person, but then you get to do your job better. So that's really important. My only suggestion to you guys would be to be out there, stand out, make yourself felt in the company.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna add that a way to make yourself stand out is to just really get involved. So that means if you're in a meeting, just because you're an intern doesn't mean you have nothing to contribute.
Yes. Yes.
And if you don't know anything, inquire, ask, show them that you're engaged, and also get involved with professional organizations within the company or the firm, and get involved with your peers. Especially if you're at a company that has really set a set system of hierarchy and seniority, you get involved with your peers, and then reach out if you have mentors. Really use the mentors. Just don't be a fly on a wall. Just really get involved and make sure that they know you, because internships can be really brief. So make sure they get a chance to get to know you before you leave.
Yes.
Good point. So what advice would you give to establishing a relationship with your manager or supervisor?
I would say talk as much as you can. Try to express yourself. Be open if you want to give any advice, or if you want to give any sort of ideas, or put your creativity in front of them. Don't be afraid of not being able to communicate, or don't be afraid that they'll say something bad to you or stuff like that. So just try to communicate well, and then building a good relationship really helps you. Maybe they would like you to stay full time and work full time for them, and then you get really good opportunities. Like we are talking about networking, maybe he can refer you somewhere else where you can go and work for full time. So anything can happen. Take everything positively. Don't be afraid that you'll make a mistake while you're working as an intern. Don't be afraid if you if they are asking you to do something challenging. Just be positive and try to give your best, and know what skills you have and how you can work better for them. So yeah.
I actually got along very well with my manager, my CEO, and my supervisor, even though she doesn't really supervise me. The takeaway is that like she mentioned, be criticized while you are working together, because the ultimate goal is to do the task well and to achieve the business goal of the company. And after work, when you get off, you can hang out together as a good friend. When I was working together with my CEOs, my managers, we quarreled a lot. We argued a lot about our projects. We have different opinions about projects, but every time when we get off, we're still good friends. It's because we all know that our ultimate goal is to do this well. And another thing is, don't be afraid to ask questions, because I know that there are some people are afraid of asking questions because they are afraid that they may be, people may think that they are stupid or silly if they ask some simple questions. But just like at GGU, don't be afraid to speak up, to ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, you could make some mistakes. Making mistakes compared with asking questions, which one is better? Of course, asking questions.
Pallavi, what about you?
I would say talk as much as you can. Get to know each individual. You never know who's going to help you out, and it's a very small world. I've met the same people that I studied with in school at my workplace. So it's really important to build relationship and talk to as many people you can, and be nice. Don't be rude. Don't take things personally if things don't go well with your intern buddies or your colleagues or whatever. Just take things lightly and everything else will fall in place.
So Pallavi, what do you think would be the best way to obtain a full-time job after an internship?
You mean within the same company?
So when you're
or-
finishing up your internship and you want to transition that to a full-time job, what's the best way to approach that?
So I would say when you start off, in the first month of your internship, you would have an idea of whether this is the role that you want to be in or not. So if you feel that this is where you want to be in, that this is the job that you've been dreaming of, I would suggest start working from that point on. Talk to recruiters within the company, talk to your manager, and see how you can convert your internship to full-time. I would suggest 90%, if you have good relationship with your recruiters, with your managers, you would get converted to full-time. If you don't, but that's the kind of job you still want, I would suggest start researching, start working on which similar companies have the same kind of role, and start approaching recruiters. I would suggest approach only recruiters and not managers of that company, because managers wouldn't really have the time to engage with you in details about the role. So it's a good way to approach a recruiter than a manager. So I hope that answers to your question.
It does. So one last quick question before we get to the final question.
Yes.
What was your first day like?
Oh, I was
just one sentence all the way coming down the line.
I was drop dead nervous. I didn't know what to do. It was a new experience because I come from a different culture. It was a culture shock for me because here it's quite different. Here it's more informal. Whereas in the country that I grew up in, I worked with senior executives that were very formal. Like you sit when they let you sit. Here it's pretty casual. You address people with their first name. There you say sir and madam or things like that. So it was a culture shock for me. But I adapted very quickly because the kind of people that I worked with were very approachable. They were very down to earth. So I got adapted very quickly. But I was very scared the first day.
Brittany, what about you?
I think I was overwhelmed because on the first day it's just orientation. They just give you a bunch of admin stuff to do, and you're like, well, when do I actually get to do what I thought I was going to do? So just overwhelming.
Xiao, how about you?
My first day is I didn't know what to do, and because the first day, like my company is not like their company is a very big companies, and since I mentioned my supervisor is not really my supervisor, so they didn't assign me that much work at the first day, and I just sit over there and play my cell phone and reading some marketing articles over there. So I was a little bit nervous at that day. I was afraid. Wow, will this be my CPT in the 3 months? But turns out, after 1 week, after you got along with your colleagues, after you get used to that environment, and they will start to assign you more tasks. So if you're gonna do your internship at some medium companies or small companies, you will probably meet the situation like mine. But don't be afraid. Don't be freaked out.
So Ariba, working remotely, how was your first day?
Yeah, so it was really different. I was nervous too, but it was because I was on a video conference and they were like explaining me how the company works and stuff like that. So I was really nervous, but at the same time I was really excited because the CEO was asking me to do real stuff straight ahead, and then I knew that the work I will be doing would be implementing for the company. So yeah, I was excited too.
So before we open it up to questions, how about one lightning round, one sentence each? What's the best advice you would give to somebody who's a prospective looking for an internship?
I would say be patient and keep trying. Yeah.
I would say don't be afraid to try anything that you can try. Like I mentioned, I do blog, I interview people, and I know that one of my classmates who found his dream job, he went to, I don't know how he reached out the people, the recruiter over there, but it was my first semester at GGU, and he just, he came to me and invited me for a tour to railway construction, which is very close to GGU over there, and he invited us for the tour, and we went the tour, and at the end of the tour, I found out that he invited us to the tour is because he want to build up his network with the people who worked in that construction company. And couple weeks later, I found on his Facebook that he got a job over there. So that's also a way to get a job. So don't be afraid to try new things out.
I love it.
I would say proactiveness, have positivity and motivation. I'm sure all of you guys will land the dream job you've been waiting for. So yeah.
Brittany.
I would say be creative in your approach so people remember you, but also just relax and be yourself, because at the end of the day you want to be somewhere where you fit in.
Yes.
You don't want to try too hard, because you'll get old and you'll get unhappy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So how about we open up to questions? Who has a question?
Yeah. So first of all, congratulations to you and I wish you all the very best for your future. So my question is for international students. So we all see that job search is a very, very difficult task, and of course, more challenging to it is to win a sponsorship. So what is your take on that, and what is your suggestion to overcome that hurdle?
I remember I went for an interview once, and at the end of the interview, the CEO asked me, "Do you have any more questions?" I feel like he expected me to ask the question that whether they will sponsor me or not, and I told him that I'm not going to ask that question, because the answer is quite obvious. If you are valuable enough, and if you fit the company culture, they will definitely want you, right? So I told him I would not ask that question as long as I feel like I fit the company's culture, and as long as I feel that the company want me and I'm valuable and contribute to the company. And but there is the possibility that some company want to take advantage of you. They just want you to do internship over there because they can pay you nothing. And the one way to find out whether they sponsor you or not is to, because right now we're using application. I think many GGU students have that application. Yeah. You can use that application to find out whether they sponsored international student or not. And another way is to try to reach out people who worked at the company, to talk with them, to ask them whether the company sponsored international student before or not.
Yeah. I would agree. All companies everywhere throughout the world can sponsor you. They do have a budget too. Like she said, it's really important to make sure you're valuable to the company. The better you perform and you go and request, like, I need sponsorship, or if your work performance speaks for itself, you would get your sponsorship. But especially for international students, since there's a limitation of OPT, and then you have to fall like 1 year or 3 years of STEM program, it's difficult. At that case, I would say reach out to companies that do sponsor, and go from there. But if you land a job wherein they don't do sponsorship, then I would start looking for options, like what you could do next. But then you can always prove yourself and land a sponsorship.
What are the questions? Yeah.
I would like to know when each of you individually started kind of aggressively looking for an internship in terms of your program starting. And then in hindsight, if you would change that at all by starting earlier or later.
So I graduated in August 2018. Sorry, 17. And I actually started off pretty late. So I had to do my internship in April, and I started off in Feb and March. I would suggest if you're targeting bigger companies, they have a 6 months prior window when they look for people for internship. So in that way, I would say 6 months way in advance, you would have to start applying for internship opportunities. But I would say the sooner the better. Even if you start off now and your internship is due in, say, December, it's good to have an internship offer in hand. So I would say start as soon as possible.
I will agree with her. Like she mentioned, even though you are not allowed to do internship when you get the offer, it is also good to leave them a good impression, and you can tell them that you are not allowed to work for now, but if the company like you can reach them out later anytime. So start as early as possible is very good.
Yeah.
More of a practical question. How long would the internship interviewing process last for you guys?
I think the whole recruiting process from like when I applied to when I got the offer, I would say it was like a month. That was really expedited because of the program I was in. But I would say that some firms have one interview and some firms have two. They might even have like a screening before, like a phone call. I'm not sure how that relates to other industries though.
It depends, again, the kind of company you're applying for. If it's a small firm, quick as 2 days. If you're targeting a larger firm, then it could take a couple of months. But then for me, it was a period of 3 weeks because I started networking first and then got called for an interview. So it depends, again, the type of company. Yeah.
I agree with her.
Yeah, for me, it took me 3 months, like 3 or 4 months, to find an internship, but I got an internship in just 2 days. So it really depends, and it really depends with whom you are connecting, because I was talking to the CEO of the company directly, so things were different. If you are going through a proper channel, like if you are applying online and going through that channel, it can take like 2 to 3 weeks or like a month. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Yeah. Really?
First of all, thank you to all of you for being here. Congratulations. And I would like to know, how do any of you or all of you maybe have an idea, how can we utilize LinkedIn to reach out to internships?
Actually, it's a good question. I use LinkedIn a lot to reach out for my jobs. And even now, I'm using LinkedIn to reach out to people that I want to interview. So I have a couple of methods. One is to tell them that I'm a graduate student, that I want to learn about this company. I want to learn about the career, the industry. Is it possible to have a cup of coffee with them and to have a sweet talk? And another way is to, like I mentioned about the blogger thing, and another way is to just to tell them that you are looking for a job. But the last one is a little bit dangerous. If you know that the company is really looking for a candidate like you can say like that. And of course, there will be a lot of people do not reply you or refuse your invitation. But don't be afraid to try to, send the emails as much as possible as you can. And since I took the cost sales management, we learned about how to, build up our LinkedIn profile very well. So I really appreciate that I took that class, and I think you guys, no matter you took that class or not, you should. I think it would be great if you build up your LinkedIn profile and. Post articles, do posts on LinkedIn, and people will, get attention to you, and it is also good to show people that you have valuable thoughts, valuable ideas, and you can improve the possibility that people will go out with, hang out with you.
So GGU Careers has wonderful resources when it comes to LinkedIn and other resources like that to help you network. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to thank you all for being here tonight. We have 2 ambassadors, networking ambassadors, are here. You guys want to stand up? Hello. Or they waved. Please feel free to mingle and ask questions. There's some food in the back, and we'll all be around to ask individual questions. And we have Nipa.
Thank you all so much. Can we give these ladies a round of applause?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
We didn't plan all of them to be women. It just happened that way. They're the ones who wanted to volunteer. But I did want to mention a few things. Sue Ann had mentioned our office, the Office of Career Planning. We do have appointments available for all of you, even beyond when you become alumni, for free, 15-minute appointments. If you want to strategize how to go about your internship, how to reach out on LinkedIn, or even how to figure out what to say when you reach out to someone on LinkedIn or have a conversation. A couple of the ladies alluded to inviting someone out for coffee and to meet with them and interviewing them. That's called an informational interview. And we can help you with what kind of questions you want to ask and how do you figure out what your goal is for talking to someone. And if you don't know, on GGU for You, under the career planning webpage, there is a list of all for the past couple years, all the internships that students have completed through GGU. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for your specific program and want to know what companies have hired GGU students in the past, that's a great resource for you to start targeting, because big companies are great, but you might want to think about companies who have hired GGU interns in the past. Mm-hmm. And with that, we still have lots of food in the back and some drinks. So if you want to go ahead and get up and go over there, you can stay here if you would like. But thank you all so much for coming, and we have the room for a while, so feel free to stick around and mingle.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you.